Hello, everybody, and welcome to the New Flame Sports Podcast. I'm your host, along with Kareem and Dean. The week was jam-packed full of sports this week, but first, I want to address a comment that I received on last week's episode about the Houston Astros, saying that we were too harsh on the Astros. Now, I really do appreciate your comment, and I see your points, but I personally don't think we were too harsh. And the reason being is because they ended guys' careers, first and foremost. Like, that's just not right. You can't get away with ending people's careers with just a $5 million fine to the team and nothing to the players. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's just... That hurts me. But, on to the second point, which is they almost won 2 World Series. Because after they won the World Series in 2017, that means more people are willing to come over, and teams are willing to, maybe willing to trade with you more because they know that you're going to be competitive, and that way that they can trade and then get top prospects back. But they potentially almost won 2 World Series out of this scenario, and it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of disappointing, I guess, because now you have a team that's going to be competitive, that's going to be more competitive with free agency, and teams are going to be willing to trade with you more for top prospects. All of those combined together, you get disappointment from everyone. So that was my one thing that I wanted to say. But let's get into the actual sports this week. Starting with the NHL Finals, which ended this week. The Tampa Bay Lightning win in 6 games. They won the series 4-2, obviously. These Dallas Stars actually tried to make it a little interesting in game 4 and 5, winning back-to-back games, one in overtime, one in double overtime. But at the end of the day, they could not pull it off. Tampa Bay Lightning, they are just stacked. They have no weak spots at all on that entire roster. Tampa Bay, obviously, they beat Boston. They cruised their way to the finals. And this is going to be a competitive team moving forward because they are fairly young. So expect for Tampa Bay Lightning to make a run at back-to-back NHL championships next year, along with other teams that were close to winning it this year, along with Boston, Dallas, obviously, who made it. Vegas is always going to be up there. So, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning, their organization, and everyone who helped put this together and their battle with COVID, because obviously they had to delay the season a little bit. And, congratulations to you guys. Now on to the NBA with Kareem and Dean. We had the NBA Finals start this week between the Heat and the Lakers. Lakers take game 1 with ease. Kareem and Dean, the Heat were up by a lot near the end of the first quarter. Why do you think it fell apart for them?
Well, I mean, this is Finals LeBron we're talking about here. He never wants to lose. He never feels like he's gonna lose. Heat were up big by 13 at one point early in the game. I wasn't really surprised when the Lakers came back. LeBron started doing his part. Caruso, he came in off the bench. He did his part. Mm-hmm. So it's all these things, all these guys, they come together and they put some great basketball effort. And I don't know. I don't really know what the Heat need to do. All I know is they've got to find a way.
Apparently they need to be playing better late game defense.
They gotta be stronger.
They gotta hold through the entire game. They have to, because I think what happened was that they got the early lead and then they just let their foot off the gas. You can't do that. You literally cannot do that against LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, of course, a bunch of big names were in the virtual stands. That doesn't really have to do anything with the finals, but
it's fun to see. It's fun to see. I think, because doesn't the NBA have the like screens, kind of like the WWE,
Yep.
and it has like people versus
Yeah.
like MLB and NFL who have cardboard cutouts. I think that's a little bit more fun, personally.
Yeah.
But
we're talking about the finals.
yeah,
So
yeah,
of
like
course,
it's
the
kind of like
Lakers take it.
it's kind of like the opposite of what Josh said last week about Kirk Cousins. With Kirk Cousins, you never felt like you were out of a game, but with LeBron James, you always feel there's always this sense of, oh dear no, what's gonna happen? Like, we're up big, but this is LeBron we're talking about.
Yeah.
And
So, of
some
course,
say
the
he's the
Lakers-
greatest player of all time. I personally don't agree with that. It's easily MJ.
Same here.
The one thing I agree with Michael A. Smith is that he said it's no question it's MJ. But the Lakers do have a really good, talented team. So do the Heat.
The only thing about the thing about the GOAT situation, though, just as Michael Jordan said it, it's very tough to compare players because from when he played in the 90s, 95 or whatever, 90s to now 2020, it's a very different game. Back then, it was so much more physical.
Even
So,
compared from
it's
like
a
the
lot
1990s to the 1970s,
Yeah, so it's a lot easier to compare by era than like the whole
it's
history
easy
of the
to
game.
compare like LeBron and Steph Curry because they played at the same time, yet you can't compare LeBron and MJ, which is what people have been saying for a while now, and I 100% agree with that because it's just it's hard to gauge, like what's this and versus what's that, because back in the 90s defense was like a really important, where now is today defense is still really important, but it's not as important.
Yep.
Alright.
So of course, it was a great game, but you can just tell they lost their fight.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, I mean,
Yeah.
the whole
Like,
team.
yeah,
Just
I mean,
looks not
They
like
they
the
need
Heat
to
in
they need
the
to
conference
light that
finals.
spark that was there against Boston. If they want to have
Yeah.
a shot, because if they play like this,
Boston's a
they're
really
gonna
good
get
team,
swept.
right?
If they play like this, they're
Yeah.
gonna get swept easy.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's a great team. The Heat, very young team.
Oh, yeah.
Almost all rookies on their starting lineup.
Yeah, and the fact
of
that their
course-
coach could lead them to the finals, let alone the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean,
their coach, Eric Spoelstra, he coached LeBron. He's got to tell these guys what LeBron's tendencies
yeah,
are.
it's like
so it's a
like
lot
I'm gonna
easier
make
for
this
them to guard.
comparison to baseball. It's like when a pitcher is traded to a team, like within the league, and then you go over and be like, all right, guys, this is what he does. If you haven't picked this up in the scouting report, this is what he does. This is how he does it. This is how we beat him. That's just what my mind gets drawn to because I'm a baseball addict. So, but
Exactly
like we
right
said,
on
the
that.
Lakers
Of course.
take game 1. They are up 1-0 in the series. Game 2 is going to be tomorrow night.
I mean,
There were not that many good games this week. There was one that I watched. This is going to be a thing that I start doing now, which is where I'm just going to mostly talk about the game that I watched and then also talk about some other games that I paid attention to but I didn't necessarily watch. So one of the games that I watched this weekend was the 49ers and Giants. I said this back in 2017 before the 49ers had Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Mullins was the starter. I vividly remember saying Nick Mullins could be very good, and he proved that again on Sunday against the Giants. Obviously, it's against the Giants, so some leeway there. This week he's gonna have a tougher matchup against Philly. That's if Jimmy Garoppolo plays, but if you San Francisco, you have to be confident enough with him that he can go in and win. I thought he played great, and Shanahan said that there was no scenario where he was the starter over Garoppolo, but now there's no reason to rush Garoppolo back. There's no reason to rush Mostert back with the way that Jeff Wilson and Jerick McKinnon played, which is going to be my next point, which was the 49ers run game. Holy moly, did they ball out this week. Jeff Wilson and Jerick McKinnon, both absolutely insane weeks. They carried that team to an easy 36-9 victory. But Yeah, despite the injuries, 49ers won. Obviously, no Garoppolo, no Mostert, no Debo Samuel, which is another guy that we've been forgetting that's out. No Nick Bosa, no Solomon Thomas. It's kind of like the last year's Yankees. You had Judge, Stanton, just literally everyone on that entire team go down. It was the same way this year, but and then the Giants running game. What happened? The offensive line is bad enough for the Giants, but the fact that Daniel Jones outrushed all three of their running backs, Devontae Freeman. Now, he was just signed earlier that week, so that actually makes sense. He didn't get a lot of carries, but Dion Lewis, and who was that third guy that they had? I can't remember.
I don't know, but Daniel Jones only had 49 yards, and he still
outrushed all three of their running backs. What is that? Yeah. So, anyway, that's going to do it for that game. Now, on to another game that I paid attention to, which was the Cowboys at Seahawks, which is kicked off at 4:30. Obviously, it was going to be a big game. Game of the week, in my eyes. Cowboys with a good from behind win last week in week 2 against the Falcons. Seahawks riding the Russell Wilson train, and they're 2-0 start into that game. But Cowboys made it interesting with a couple seconds left. Marched down the field. Dak Prescott threw an interception. I'm sorry, Josh. But he threw an interception at the 5-yard line, which iced the game for Seattle to continue their winning streak. But, yeah, if you want to say anything about the Cowboys, I'm going to go into the Seahawks performance a little bit later. Right after we finish.
Alright. Well, of course, very highly debated topic about this game.
Dirty. The Chris Carson, yeah. Man. That's just... If you look back at that play, there was just absolutely no reason whatsoever.
It's like what Gronk did when the Bills player picked it off.
Oh, yeah. Dude, the play is over. He was down. He made a nice tackle, too, the Cowboys defensive player. He made a nice tackle on Chris Carson. He got him at the legs. He tripped him up. I think it was a second down, which made it 3rd and 5, 3rd and 10 or something. I'm not sure. But then the defensive lineman just comes out of nowhere and just says, you know what? Get injured. And it's that's sickening. That's sickening.
Good thing, though, is that,
he's not to an ACL or anything. He probably will miss this week, however.
Yep, Jamal Adams, though.
Jamal Adams was another injury that they got.
Serious injury.
Oh, yeah. Just got him from the Jets.
Still awaiting an announcement from the Seahawks.
Yeah, Chris Carson. I think that, although I hate to say it, the Seahawks have an easy matchup against the Dolphins this week. I think there's no reason to rush him back. Carlos Hyde and Travis Homer can carry the load for Seattle against Miami's poor run defense. And Jamal Adams, I think they'll be fine without him. They still have both of the Griffin twins, so I think they'll be fine this week. But Russell Wilson... Oh, yeah, Dean, go ahead.
Okay, so going back to that play on Chris Carson and really all the injuries that have been going on with the Seahawks with the Jamal Adams injury and the Chris Carson injury.
It's not as bad as the 49ers.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's
What that number 9 guy? What are you thinking? You literally could have ended a guy's season.
Yeah,
Chris Carson was already down. You don't need to keep holding on to his leg, you know what
I'm
saying?
No. The play was over for a solid second, and then just out of nowhere, he just comes out of nowhere. It's sickening, I said. But anyway, Russell Wilson continues his MVP season contending with Josh Allen. Threw for 400-plus yards, 5 TDs. He's up to 14 already through 3 weeks. That's over 4 a game. Just absolutely incredible. But Seahawks with a close win over the Cowboys, my bad. And that's going to do it for the Week 3 games. Now, one story that that came out over about 2 days ago now was the Tennessee Titans have had multiple, up to 11 cases now, positive cases of COVID-19, and it's hopefully this isn't gonna be what happens with baseball, because baseball, it was with two teams. Hopefully, now obviously you never want to see anyone get COVID because this is very serious, and but let's just hope that the best case scenario is that it stays with the Titans, it didn't spread to the Vikings, and that the NFL made a good move by postponing the Steelers and Titans game until later this season. Now, that if that happens during one of their bye weeks, one of their bye weeks gets pushed back or pushed up a week because they have two different bye weeks. But now, if you think about it, the Titans are going to be out, obviously, this week, and they might be out next week as well. And, if this has to stay here. This cannot spread any further if there's going to be a chance to finish this season. Now, obviously, this is much less important than, them recovering very quickly, which I hope happens. I hope they recover very quickly and they can get back on the field. But if you do have any Titans or Steelers in your fantasy lineup this week, go ahead and take them out because their game has been postponed this week. If you have players such as Juju Smith-Schuster, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, James Conner, the defenses, anyone, take them out of your lineup. And, obviously, big news. It's sad, really, because you never want to see anyone get injured or sick in this case. But hopefully they come back fast, like I said, and we can resume the season. But then one more note from this past week, your Cleveland Browns guys, if you want to go ahead and read off this stat, you may, because this must feel pretty good.
So, some would say definitively won. I wouldn't. It was only a 2-score game. But, Nick Chubb, that guy refuses to...
Oh, yeah, just will not get tackled.
2 touchdowns, 108 yards.
Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb is the best running back duo in the league. Hands down.
Yep. Myles Garrett, back-to-back games with a strip sack.
Oh, yeah.
A monster. Did go through a lot last year. Still don't believe it was his fault.
Okay.
But it was his fault that he hit him, of course. But Browns are above 500 now.
For the first time since week 14? Since week 14 of the 2014 season?
That's 84 games.
84 games. Holy moly, dude.
Got the Cowboys. I do think we can beat them just because
you have the skill. You have the skill. And the Cowboys' run defense has not been great this season, so expect Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to have good weeks for your fantasy this week.
Byron Jones.
And they lost Byron Jones, so pass defense took a hit.
They can attack the DBs.
Mm-hmm.
And did they release how the Titans had all those COVID tests or COVID?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they got it, but if you want to go ahead and read the article, it's on the NFL app and website. If you want to go ahead and read that, you can.
I will do that.
All right, into week 4. Tonight's game, Thursday night. This is being recorded on Thursday. This is gonna be a tough matchup to pick. I don't really know who's gonna win. I went with the Jets just because the Broncos have a new starting quarterback. I don't know how much we can trust him yet. If Frank Gore and I think Perrine is one of their running backs they have this year. Who's now their second stringer because Le'Veon Bell went down with an injury. But I think the Jets have just a tad bit more talent overall, I would say. Now, expect it to be, a decently scoring game, 27-24, something like that. You could maybe. Now, this is just my opinions. I have no clue how it's going to go, obviously, but it's going to be a weird game tonight. I don't know why they would really pick this game when there are more important games that could be in prime time. But, yeah, Broncos-Jets tonight. I'm taking the Jets. I don't know. I have no clue. But, Chiefs and Patriots, that's going to be a huge game this week in Kansas City. already week 4. Normally, this would be a good end-of-season matchup for seeding. But Super Cam versus Patrick Mahomes for the first time. This is going to be high scoring. This is going to be an electric, fun time if you're going to watch this game, which I highly recommend. It's going to be a great time. My dad is a Patriots fan, and as much as I don't like it, we got to put our differences aside and watch this totally epic game this week. But this is, like I said, a must-watch game. Starts at 4:25 on Sunday. Watch it, please. You will not regret it. Another thing is the NFC South, man. I predicted the Saints, and I think both of you did as well in the NFL special. We both predicted the Saints, and who knew that 3 weeks into the season they would have the same record as the Miami Dolphins, have a worse record, the same record as the Jaguars, and it's just like Drew Brees, I think, is starting to show his age. Obviously, they lost to Green Bay last week, and if they lose to the Lions, who beat the Cardinals this week, this will be a tougher matchup than people are saying. But this is a must-win game, like we said last week. This is another must-win game for the Saints.
Green Bay.
Green Bay is extremely good. Aaron Jones, Alan Lazard.
35 points a game.
They crushed them without Devontae Adams.
Yeah, and Lazard is showing up.
That he can prove that, yeah. But anyway,
it should be a fun one.
Yeah, the Buccaneers are in first place at 2-1. If they win this week against the Chargers, I think they solidify themselves as a legit team, because, like I said, I didn't know how all that talent was gonna mix together. It has gone really well so far, except for week 1 game. That was a mess, but Saints have to win this if they want to be competitive in the NFC South. But that's gonna do it for the NFL, and now onto the MLB. With the MLB Playoffs, I am so excited. This is 16 teams. It was a sprint here, and now we're finally here. It feels like just 2 days ago that the season started, but we are here. And we are here to stay, obviously, with the bubble, so that way no one is gonna get COVID, hopefully. So they have to postpone it, or whatever. But, obviously a bubble being played in San Diego, Los Angeles, Houston, and Arlington, with the Texas Rangers' new stadium. But, so, we have the Astros sweep the Twins. Now, as much as I hate to say it, I don't like the Astros, like I said. I hate to see it. They are going to either play I believe either the A's or White Sox. That's going to be a good matchup, Game 3 today. But Astros sweep the Twins. For the Twins, that is 18 straight playoff losses. It's just, you have to wonder, what goes wrong for this team? They hit all these home runs, especially last year. They hit all those home runs. They set a new MLB record. And it's just, why can't this team win in the playoffs? It just makes absolutely no sense. And if you're a Twins fan, I feel bad for you. The Yankees...
Well, here's the thing. Playoffs feel a lot different
with no fans
than the regular season.
And mixed with no fans.
No fans.
Yeah.
And it's just, the playoffs feels like a whole new season.
Oh, yeah.
From what I know.
Yeah. But,
I don't know. It's really just been going wrong for the Twins.
Yeah,
I mean, or so years.
Yeah. Game 1 was 4-1, and then Game 2 was 3-1. Obviously, best 2 out of 3 series. Now, in the Division Series, it's going to be best out of 5, so you have to win 3 games. Then in the Championship Series and the World Series, obviously going to be best out of 7, like it has always been. So, yeah. The Rays sweep the Jays. Kareem, you are a self-proclaimed Blue Jays fan, because obviously you're from, your family's from Toronto, but I needed you guys to win, man. The Yankees do not want to play the Rays at all.
Well, did Vladimir Guerrero play?
I think he did play, and I think he won 0 for 8 in these games. But, so anyway,
Put your dad's legacy on, man.
But yeah, that's unfortunate. Game 1 was 3-1. Game 2 was 8-2. Hunter Renfroe hit the first ever Rays postseason grand slam in a rout of the Blue Jays, like I said. So they are now going to play the Yankees, who swept the Indians. Game 1 was 12-3, absolutely demolished Shane Bieber. Is he the next postseason Kershaw? Maybe. But the Indians lost Game 2, 10-9. That was a back-and-forth game. Sandy Alomar Jr. took out Josh Naylor, who is the hottest hitter in the playoffs. He was like 6 for 6 up to that point, 4 or 5 extra base hits. He takes him out in, I think, the 7th inning, down by 2, brings in Luplow. Boone goes to Loizaga, and 2-run double. Just like that. Tie game, bottom 7, or maybe bottom 6. I think it was bottom 7. But after that, Yankees scored 2 more in the top of the 9th off of a sac fly from Gary Sanchez, and then a single by DJ LeMahieu. Gotta love him. He'll be back in the Bronx for all you Yankees fans out there next year, and for many years to come. I think he'll sign a 3-year contract, maybe 4. And Carlos Carrasco was on point until the 4th inning, when he gave up like a single, then a walk, then another single, which loaded the bases for Gio Urshela, who hit the grand slam, which really turned the tide in that game, I think. I was watching it, I was on my couch, he hit it, and I was like, immediately, I knew. I was like banging this, arm cover. I was like, there we go, Gio! And I was watching it with my dad, and, up to that point, Carlos Carrasco had absolutely dominated us. Then they bring in James Karinchak, who'd struck out almost 50% of the batters he faced. It was absolutely insane, that guy's season. But could not locate, gives up the grand slam to Urshela, then walks Torres and Gardner on 9 pitches, and he did not have it that last night. But Yankees win it 10-9. On to the A's and White Sox game. It's Game 3. It's actually on. Luis Robert just hit a 487-foot bomb. But it's 1-0 A's. Oh, White Sox, my bad. In the top of the second, Mike Fiers is pitching for the A's. All I can say about Luis Robert is that man, this kid can hit. He can hit hard. He can hit to all fields. He is gonna be a great player in the future. Now, he did slump a little bit to end the season, but it doesn't really matter as long as you show up in the postseason like he just did. Obviously, the A's won yesterday. Bob Melvin brings in Liam Hendricks in the 8th inning. Controversial choice for Liam Hendricks, who is their closer, to get 6 outs. He got 5. He struck out 5. But, first and second for Jose Abreu, who went to Jake Diekman, who got him to ground out to second base. They won that game 5-3. But, Game 3 is on right now. Probably won't by the time we record it, by the time we upload it. But, whatever. On to the National League. Cardinals and Padres. Game 2 is tonight at 7. Probably is on by the time we're uploading this. But the Cardinals won Game 1, 7-4. No one saw this coming. Literally, everyone was saying, oh, the Padres are so good. They're going to sweep them. This is going to be easy. They're just going to go on to face their next opponent in the next round. No. The Cardinals said no. They scored 4 in the first inning off of a 2-run homer by Paul Goldschmidt. And never looked back from there. Now, Kim, Kwang... I don't know his name, but the Cardinals pitcher, he looked lights out for the first couple innings. I think he went 4 1/3 until he got into some trouble in the 5th. They took him out, and then the Cardinals bullpen kind of blew it, but the Cardinals offense backed him up, and they won 7-4. Brewers and Dodgers at 10 o'clock tonight. This will probably not be up by the time we upload this video, but Dodgers won 4-2. Everyone's like, oh, this should be easy. The Brewers got in by the skin of their teeth, and they finished under 500, which is, I think that's the first time in MLB. Maybe it's happened a few times in NFL history where a team under 500 makes the playoffs, but obviously they have to face the Dodgers. They got Kershaw tonight, So maybe he chokes and the Blues force a game 3. I would not be surprised. I mean, I would actually be surprised, but playoff cushion, you never know. Marlins and Cubs, that game is postponed for today because of weather. The Yankees and Indians game was delayed twice last night, but that finally hit Chicago, and that was postponed. The Marlins won 5-1 yesterday off of a 3-run homer by Corey Dickerson and a 2-run homer by Jesus Aguilar off of Kyle Hendricks and Jeremy Jeffers, I believe. Could be wrong on that, don't quote me. But anyway, that game is postponed. One note is that Sterling Marte broke his hand off of a hit-by-pitch. He is available to play defense and to run tomorrow when that series does eventually pick up. Maybe they'll probably won't be playing today, but if they do, he will be available to run and field, just not hit. And then we had the Reds and Brewers, who had a fantastic game yesterday. 1-0, finished in 13. Braves come up on top off of a walk-off single by the likely NL MVP Freddie Freeman. That is like two walk-offs for him in the past week and a half. He's just absolutely incredible. I mean, everyone knew he was good, but no one knew that he could hit 350, and he almost had an OBI. He almost averaged an OBI every game. He had 53 OBIs, only 7 more OBIs and he would have done it. But anyway, and then Trevor Bauer absolutely lights out. I love Trevor Bauer. He's phenomenal. He's a strikeout artist. He should win NL Cy Young, but I don't think the voters like him very much. So Yu Darvish will probably win that award, but I think it goes to Bauer, no question. But anyway, Max Fried also for the Braves was lights out. Went I think 6 2/3 strong innings. So yeah, Braves. It was the first ever game in postseason history to go 12 scoreless innings. Cannot believe it. It was a great game. And then also today, the Braves won, I believe, 5-0, off of homers from Adam Duvall and Marcell Ozuna. Both hit 2-run homers, and then Ronald Acuna Jr. had an RBI double. This Braves team is just so much fun to watch with Acuna and Albies and Freeman and Ozuna. It's absolutely stacked. The one weak spot is their pitching staff. Now, they will have 2 very solid starters at the front end for this postseason with Max Fried and Ian Anderson, who was dominant today. But going into the next season, you have to be very excited for the Braves. You're going to have probably Soroka, Fried, and Anderson. That pitching, those 3 could win them 105 games next year. I would not be surprised if they did. Obviously, the very young team, besides from Freddie Freeman and Marcell Ozuna, who's, not too old, but, Braves move on to the NLDS. Cannot think of a better team to do so. So that is going to do it for this week's episode of the New Flame Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, as always, here with Kareem and Dean. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit the like button, comment down below anything about last week's sports or this upcoming week's sports. And we will see you guys here next week for week number 5.